like if somebody wanted to be like, what is, you know, who is Reyna Roberts? What is like her brand? What does she look like? And I feel like the Miranda music video is a great representation of that.
Hi, Reyna, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I am fantastic as well. I appreciate you doing this today. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and thank you for being so flexible on the day change and all that.
It's all good. It's no worries.
Yeah. Well, I'm Adam. So nice to meet you. And
nice to meet you too.
This is, excuse me, I had a hiccup. This is about you and your journey in music.
Awesome. What do you want to know? What do you want to know about?
I want to know everything about you. I did see there's some very fascinating things, and are you born in Alaska, huh? Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. I was born in Alaska. My parents are veterans, so
awesome.
Like, yeah.
Very cool. So Alaska, what part of Alaska were you born
in? Anchorage, and then we lived in Fairbanks.
Okay. Were you there very long? Doesn't sound like.
I'm like, how long was I was there until like 3 or 4 years old. I was tiny.
Okay. And I did read, this is via Wikipedia, so who knows if it's correct. You were born premature, 2 months premature.
I was. I was.
So
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I was like 2 pounds. 2 pounds in Alaska. That was that's where the story, the journey begins.
Wow. Well, my son was also born 9 weeks premature as well.
That was a journey. I had like, how small was he?
He was like double your size. He was 4 pounds, 5 ounces, but it's still very, very small. I mean, that's very, very small, but 4 pounds is very, very small too. I can't even imagine like half that. Like, it was funny. My brother-in-law, my wife's brother and his wife just had a baby. And so I was going, and they had a boy. So I was going through like, I saved a bunch of stuff for my son. So I was going through some of his clothes to see if I could, give my brother-in-law some like cool things that we had. And I found like his preemie, like a onesie that he had. And like, it's like this big. And I remember it just being so massive on him.
That's crazy. Like when I think 2 pounds, 4 pounds, I'm like, that's kind of terrifying, actually. Like that's I can't even imagine that.
But 2 pounds. Were you like in the NICU and stuff?
I was for 2 months.
Okay. Yeah. My son was in the NICU for 29 days. Yeah, about a month. It was rough. I mean, I can't imagine what your parents were going through. It was, I mean, you show up and your kid's in this like incubator, and my son had all this like mask, oxygen, and like all this stuff, and it was just like I see pictures of it now, and it's like no, you went through it. I mean, don't apologize to me.
I mean, I don't, like it wasn't an experience for me. Like my parents talk about it like often, and I'm just like, damn, that sounds like a lot. And I'm glad that I'm not on the other side of it.
Oh yeah. Are you an only child?
I am.
Okay. So you were the first and the only, but I mean, your parents having their first daughter, like having to go to the NICU, and it was rough. I mean, I can't even imagine, like, you go there, like your kid is just born, and then you can't, you're like going to this like incubator thing for like a month, and you got to scrub all the way up to your armpits before you go in, and like only 2 people could go in, and like, it was just like, it was a interesting experience, but I'm glad that you turned out as amazing as you have, and my son's doing great. And so
I'm glad that he's okay, and because I know that it's different for like some different babies have different developmental like issues. So I'm glad that like
everything's no, I mean, he's doing awesome now, but he had to go through all the things like the speech and the all the therapies and all that stuff. Did you were you in that?
Oh yeah,
those type of things?
That's honestly probably not even probably. That's why I'm a singer. My parents use music to help me like develop my like my skills in language, and I was like singing before I was even like speaking really.
Wow.
And I was supposed to be developmentally delayed, but because I used music, I was actually like on track, and so everything
incredible.
Out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you started you singing obviously before you were speaking, like, so at what age were you I mean, was that something that were you in? I did read that you've done piano for a long time. Was that something you did as a very young child and everything, and sing
Like
and all
about
that stuff?
like 8 years old for a piano, like singing, I've been singing for forever.
Right.
But in terms of piano, I started playing like classical music when I was around 8 years old. And yeah, and I was trained for probably about like 8-9 years or so. And then I
Wow.
started kind of focusing on like songwriting and singing as opposed to like classical music specifically.
Okay. When did you start doing that? Like
Sorry, like
songwriting?
songwriting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, songwriter.
no worries. I think I want to say like 16, around that age.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you were
around
in
there.
were you in high school at that point? I would imagine. Okay.
Yeah.
And
It
where were
started
you
off by
living at
like
that point? Were you in?
um,
You said 3. You left Alaska. So
3
where
left
did you guys
Alaska.
go?
Um, we went to Alabama and we were there for about 4 years or so, and then we moved to California. And so by high school, I went to 3 different high schools. So it was a few different cities in California, but that was when I started actually like songwriting and working on like doing stuff outside of classical music and outside of, covers.
Okay. Where in California?
Let me think. High school, that means I was in Long Beach, I was in Walnut, I was in Fullerton.
Okay. So
Yeah.
all LA area, Southern California.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My dad's from like Fresno, Madera, like
Oh,
Northern California,
like
but
yeah.
or
Middle
but yeah, I
California.
grew up definitely like yeah, right. All right, but I grew up in Southern California.
Wow, that's wrong. I mean, I'm from San Diego, but I live in
Oh,
Nashville now. I think you live in Nashville as well, right?
I do.
Awesome. When did you move to Nashville?
I like a week before the pandemic, so like a
Oh,
March
damn.
something in 2020. Yeah, it was a very interesting experience. I had already been like coming to visit Nashville, but I had actually moved and got like my first apartment in Nashville like the week before the lockdown. And so, yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, we moved here in uh we came out in like December 2020 to like solidify the move here, and then we ended up moving
Yeah.
in February 21.
Mhm.
So we haven't been here, I mean, maybe 2.5 years, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, about
Yeah, we love
'cause
it here.
I feel like a lot of things didn't really open up until like a year and a half ago or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, when we moved here, we live in Williamson County, and when we
Mhm.
moved here, like the day we got here on a week, we must have got here on a weekend or something, and like that Monday, like they lifted all the
Mhm.
mask restrictions and stuff. I was like, damn, this is different.
Yeah, right. As opposed to California, because in California
Yeah.
everything was like a locked
Oh,
down.
we went back in like Christmas 21 into 22, and
Mhm.
like you had to wear a mask going in like the stores
Everywhere.
and stuff. And I was just
Yeah.
like, whoa, it was weird because we hadn't been here very long, like a few months, but it was like then going back. Anyway, it was crazy. But so you were doing piano for 8. So did you start when you were in Alabama?
I actually started. I'm pretty sure I started. I think I did like one class in Alabama, but majority of my training was by my instructor Joseph Ataya in California. And
Okay.
so we would just go like almost every week, and he would teach me, all the basics for like classical. And then at one point, I was like, "Can you teach me how to like sing and play?" And that's how that kind of started. And
Oh, and
an amazing teacher.
you said you started off on doing covers. Like, what were you? I mean, you do country music now. Is that something you've always liked, or did you start
Yeah.
doing country?
Well, my parents had always played all genres of music for me growing up. So, like as a singer and a writer, I was always writing all the things. I just wrote whatever inspired me. Like I never thought about things of like genres like
Mm.
specifically. So when I started doing covers, I did like Avril Lavigne. I did Chop Suey. I did
No shit.
Jasmine Sullivan. I did
Oh
Beyonce. I
wow!
did
Do you have
Carrie
any? I would love
Underwood.
to hear your rendition of Chop Suey on piano.
It was like one of the first things I was trying to teach myself because of the different harmonies in the song. But yeah, I played like Adele, like it
Uh-huh.
was everything. It was whatever like inspired me and I wanted to learn. So
Okay,
yeah, across
and
the
then
board.
yeah, that's awesome. And then so you started songwriting. You said around 16, and then were you
Mhm.
like, what was kind of the next? like you start songwriting, you get like a validation early on, like, oh wow, like, you know, Reyna's a really good songwriter? Like how did you continue? Were you showing people your songs right away, or like what was kind of the first real
like thankfully I've always had like my family and friends that were like I've always had support, and I've always had people encouraging me. So it was never like, don't do this, or like, it was always like, yes, you can do it, keep going, you'll keep getting better and better. And honestly, from the very beginning, like, and I won't say the very beginning, because I started writing like poems and then kind of graduated to like starting to level up in terms of like my skill set for writing songs. But I would say even early on, like some of my first songs were actually like I think they were pretty great. And like the first official song I did, I wrote about my wrestling captain at the time. And I remember after I did the song, I went to school and I played it for like my whole wrestling team, and it became like a theme for that whole year. So I was fearless when it came to like showing my music and like my artistry. So it's the one thing I love to do. So
damn, you're on the wrestling team too?
I was.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Can't mess with you.
I mean, I was pretty bad at first. It took like a good year and a half in order for me to grow and get better, because it went from me like being super clumsy and awkward to, you know, having to gain muscle and be athletic. And
were you the only female on the team?
On one of the teams out of 3. So out of the 3 schools, there was one school that had, there's one school that had girls and guys. And then my second high school, I was the only girl. And then the third high school, there's a girls team and a guys team. But we all like wrestled together anyway. So I was always wrestling guys and girls.
Okay. Wow. That was, I mean, that takes courage in itself, I'm sure, right? Showing up and be like, no, I'm going to join the team.
I don't know. I guess I've always decided to do things that are like, but like just a challenge. But I didn't think about it at the time. I just thought it was interesting and I wanted to learn. And once I was in it, I was like, I want to get better and better. And so, yeah.
You said you wrote your first song that you showed somebody or people to for your wrestling captain. Was it like a love type song, like I have a crush on you type song, or is it just like you're a great wrestler? I mean, like what was the concept behind it? Like what?
It was called Lying to Myself. I had a big crush on him, but I also knew he didn't like me. So the song was called Lying to Myself. Like, I'm a girl you'll never see. I'm just like lying to myself. That was like the whole concept. And I was
Did he know it was about him? Did you go like, I wrote the song about you, and then you played it for everybody?
Well, I told him specifically. I didn't tell like everybody, but also everybody knew I had a crush on him. So, and it was actually during, I think I had told my coach, I was like, hey, I just recorded my first song. Can we play it for everybody? He was like, yeah. And he was like, it's probably about Noah, huh? And I was like, how did you know? And I was like, he was like, I was just kidding. But, and so I'm like, damn, well, there we go. Everybody knows now, but it wasn't really
so you had recorded. It wasn't like you're like, okay, everybody gather around. I'm going to play the song live.
Well, we were all in the room, and you can hear like the speakers you can hear it throughout the room. And he was like, yeah, I'll play it for everybody. And so, yeah, that's how that happened.
Well, tell me about recording that song. Well, like
about recording it.
Yeah. Like getting going in and actually recording a song. Was that your first experience doing that with that first song?
It was. And my mom had reached out to a producer. I honestly can't even remember who it was. If I asked her, she would know all the details, but we went to his studio, his home studio in California. And I mean, I can't really remember the experience. I just knew that I loved it. And then I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. This is where I'm supposed to be. So yeah, it didn't even feel like foreign or like out of place. It was just like, yeah, this is what I was created for.
Okay. And then, so you did that one song, you showed your whole team. And then from there, were you like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm going to just keep, like, did you end up going to school for music, or was it like, you knew what you're going to do? You're going to just pursue this from there on out?
Yeah, I think like, I've never wanted to do anything else. I've always known that I was going to be a singer and be an artist. So it's never been a question like, who do I want to be, or what am I going to do? I've always known it. Once I did that song, I was like, okay, now I want to do more. And so my family and I, we just started reaching out to people in the music industry since we didn't know anybody. And we would go to LA and just meet with different producers and writers, and started to grow grow the net, not just the network, but like people surrounding me to help me build on my craft. So that's where it started. And I just kept writing, and then got introduced to more songwriters, more producers. And from there, just kept reaching out to people.
And what was like what would you say like a big milestone, or like an elevating step was for that? Like, obviously you're meeting people, you're writing more songs, and was there like something that was like, okay, here's the next, I leveled up to this next thing, this happened, or like I went on tour, or I put out a EP, or like was there a moment like that you can remember?
I would say probably when I moved to Nashville. And once Carrie Underwood and Mickey Guyton posted me on their platforms, then I started getting like then I feel like things really went to the next level, because then I was on ESPN and then Rolling Stone and Billboard, and that was all like around the same time. And then doing Stagecoach, which was my first festival. Then I was like, okay, now I feel like I'm in the door, like things are starting to move, and it's starting to become a career. And I'm starting to get people in place that are like a part of my team. I feel like that was the moment where I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm leveling up. And now I'm, wasn't on the radio like that, but my songs were played on the radio. So I'm like, okay, hey, like I'm making my path.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, just getting those people to share your actual song, like Carrie Underwood's like, oh, check out this dope artist, and like put up your song.
It was a cover. I did a cover of one of her songs, and then she posted on her, Mickey posted on her socials first, and Carrie saw it, I think, from her page maybe. And then she posted it. And so, yeah, I feel like that was when I started seeing that this was becoming just a career. Like, it's always been a passion and something I've always been striving and working on. But then I saw like real evidence of it becoming something.
Yeah.
More than
them,
a dream.
Validated you like massively, right? Having those two artists go, hey, this song this is a great cover. Check out this artist. And then now you have more eyes on you, and and then to get, you said ESPN and Rolling Stone Magazine, all these people are reaching out to you at that point.
Yeah, it opened doors.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was cool.
Wow. What was it like being like, I did see you were like on Monday Night Football. Was that your song played? Like, what was that? I mean, that's a huge platform.
To be honest, there's things I'm so naive about. So like, I don't watch football at all. So when I got the ESPN placement, I was like, I feel like that's a big deal. Is it a big deal? Because it seems like it could be. And then with Rolling Stone, I was like, I feel like is this a big deal, or is it just like, eh? And my family's like, that's
huge. That's the biggest, like, I'm
like, yay, okay.
Music magazine there is.
Right. And I was just like, unaware. But yeah, it was special for me. It was just the fact that people are like my music enough to play it and to support it. So
sure.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you said you played Stagecoach. What year did you play Stagecoach? This past one?
It wasn't this past one. We're in, was it 2022? I can't remember if it was 21 or 22, if I'm being honest. It might have been 21.
Well, that's still like the biggest. I mean, I'm not way deep into the country scene, but I would imagine that's one I know of, right? It's in between the Coachella weekends. I mean, that's like one of the biggest festivals there are in country.
Yeah, I would say it's probably, if not the biggest, it's probably like the second biggest. But yeah, so I was like, okay, now things are starting to happen. I'm starting to be placed in front of people, which is great. Which, then I was like, okay, now I have to create an album. Now I have to, level up and like go beyond where I'm at now.
And now you put out an album. You just did a couple weeks ago, right?
I did. Yep.
So Bad Girl Bible Volume 1. So tell me about this album. When do you start writing it? When do you work? Like, was this a project you started when you got to Nashville?
Honestly, like, I've used like, so there's songs on there that I started writing before I even came to Nashville. But deciding to like do an album and working on it, I started that I want to say like sometime last year. Let's say like January, for example, last year. Okay. then I was like, okay, let me choose like some of my favorite songs that I haven't, that haven't been released yet. And let me start working on things that will, and not just enhance like the brand and people's like perspective of me or perception of me, but let me create stories that I feel like I can sing forever and that like I'm in love with. So it took about a year to write all the rest of the songs. And then in terms of like coming up with the visuals and like the photo shoots and all that stuff, also planned it out for like a year. Because I wanted to have like a photo shoot for like every single song. And I wanted to have things that, that I'd be really proud of. So I feel like it all came together how I wanted it to be.
At what point did you know you wanted to do an album when you went into it? Or was it like, okay, these songs all kind of have a through line that I could put together into a bigger project?
I've definitely always wanted to do an album, but it was a matter of like resources and having like the songwriters and producers and the resources to put one together. And once I realized like, okay, I'm going to do an album now, then I had to figure out what kind of story I wanted to tell. And so I kind of just found a storyline with like some of my favorite songs and making sure that it was not only cohesive, but like it had meaning, and it felt like immersive and not just something that I like threw together, like something that was purposeful and intentful.
Yeah. So what would you like going into it? Like what was the, concept or through line that you found that you're like, okay, this is where I'm going to continue down this
Bad
path?
Girl Bible. I came one day, I like thought of that title and then I was like, that should be a song. And I wrote it as a song and I was like, oh my, I really love this title. I don't know how people feel about it. I don't want them to get the wrong idea of me, but at the same time, it's something that's really speaking to me. So I was like, okay, that's just going to be the title of the album. Now let me see how I can create this narrative throughout all the songs. And so I chose the songs where I felt like like you would feel like you're on a journey with this character, because this like half of the songs are about me, but half of the songs are just stories that I wanted to create and wanted to tell. And so I wanted to make sure that it was all like there's a continuous through line that felt like impactful by the end of it.
Sure. And what like was there? You said "Bad Girl Bible" was the song that you're like, okay, this is the narrative towards it, and that's the last song on the album. Kind of closes out the album. And with some of those songs, like what was there a song or like at what point did you? I guess my question is like going through all the songs you had written in the past. Like, was it hard to kind of sift through and be like, okay, this is I love this song so much, I want it on the album.
Yeah, that was really, really hard because some of my absolute favorite songs aren't on there because they didn't fit the narrative. They didn't fit the kind of not only the brand that I wanted behind Bad Girl Bible, but like the story in and of itself of Bad Girl Bible. And so like a few of my absolute favorite songs aren't on there, but they'll be on volume 2 because I'm going to make sure that for that, it's going to be, a whole different story that these elements make sense in that setting. But I was like, I can't have like half of Bad Girl Bible be like ballads. That's not going to fit the Bad Girl Bible like brand and title and the feeling that I want to give right off the bat for my first album. So I was like, okay, these songs will have to be for the second album, or second half of the double album.
Okay, so I was gonna go there with the volume 2. I would imagine there would be a volume 2.
Right.
So that one's do you have an idea? I know this just came out, so I don't want to like get too far ahead. But I'm just curious, like, did you have an idea that once you had Bad Girl Bible, you're like, okay, this has to be 2 parts because I love these songs so much. Is that what kind of became 2, or was it like, like how did you come up with knowing that this was going to be the first volume of this story?
Well, because I wrote like at least 24 songs, and I wanted to do a double album, but my team was like, as an artist, like this is your first album. Let's break it up in halves. So let's do this one first, and then we'll do this part after the first one. But it's because I had so much songs that I'm in love with, and we were like, it just makes sense to break it in half.
Sure. But that's so rad that that's cool that your team was like, yeah, let's do an album. I mean, I would think just nowadays with the short attention span of people, and just it's all about singles, and I'll probably put 5 singles out, and then maybe I'll put a 6 to make it a EP. You know, it's like
Right.
that's just kind of the way it is going at this point.
Yeah,
The fact
for
that you're
sure.
like, no, I'm gonna put an album out. Like, I think that's amazing.
Well, thank you. I think it also comes down to like, we don't want something to just be like, we're not looking for something that's like short and fast and like just not only are we looking for like something that's gonna hit, but we want like longevity. We want to grab people and fans that will understand me as an artist as a whole, and not just like little like snippets of me. I think the difference is like we want my career to be like, we want to have longevity. We don't want something that's just supposed to be fast and then not there anymore. And so a whole body of work is gonna be what I feel like draws people in the most, as opposed to something that's just possibly popular like for a second.
Yeah. Well, tell me about this moment that you had. You posted this video like 2 days ago, and
Which one?
you're in, it looks like downtown New York.
Oh, the billboard?
Yeah. The
Yeah.
video is playing. It's like not just like, here's a billboard of me. It's you have the music video going
Yeah.
on this gigantic screen. Well, but that must have been just unreal.
Well, it was awesome because I've as long as I've been in Nashville, one of the biggest champions of me has been Leslie Fram, and I absolutely love her, and I adore CMT. And she's, for the longest time, they're like, give us a music video. We need a music video. We want to put it up in Times Square. And thankfully, I finally got to the point where I had something that I was not only extremely proud of, but something that could also be viewed in Times Square, like something that was appropriate and that fit like all the standards. And so, you know, Miranda fit. I feel like that's also the best. Like if somebody wanted to be like, what is, you know, who is Reyna Roberts? What is like her brand? What does she look like? And I feel like the Miranda music video is a great representation of that.
Yeah. I mean, just this, watching this video is just so, the fact that it's in the middle, like seeing you on this giant screen in the middle of Times Square, that had to be like, wow. Like that
like,
must have been like, I made it moment, right?
It was like it's like me and my family, my team, we work so hard for these moments. And so when they come, I get really happy, but it's also like, yes, finally. Okay. Like it's, I have to also take a moment to really appreciate it, because I'm the kind of person that's like, okay, on to the next. What do I need to do now? What do I need to do now? I'm always focusing on like what the next thing is. So I can be continuously like leveling up or like doing better than like a week before or a month before, whatever the case is. And so I have to take those moments to be like, yes, okay, you put all the hard work has been put into this, you've done it, like appreciate it. Because I like my friend and I, we edited the video. There's so much that I literally had a hand in terms of like not just being the artist, but like picking out the location, picking out the clothes, picking out the cast, like all the things, editing the video. And so it's like, okay, like just take a moment to appreciate that this is what has happened because of all the work that everybody's put in.
Yeah. And do you enjoy having your hand in it like that? Like, is it like being able to have the freedom to choose what you want to wear and what the video is going to look like, and even going down to the edit? Like,
definitely, because one thing that I've learned, I've always been the kind of person that like, up until I feel like a few months ago, if somebody had a different opinion than me, I'd be like, oh, maybe like yours would be better. Like, let me listen to what you have to say. Even if on the inside, I'd be like, but I think mine is probably better. And I kind of just learned to listen to like my internal voice and then go with what I think is best, as opposed to being swayed by other people's like opinions and thoughts. And I feel like, because that's happened in the past like few months, I've been actually able to, start to grab an audience that sees me for me, because I'm showing them what like I really want them to see and not what somebody else wants. And yeah, like I love having a hand in it because it's what I want it to be, and it's not something that's like it's something that I'm really proud of.
Sure. And I would imagine that being pretty hard to do, right? Like you're as far as like not only the creative piece of it and being there for all the edits, but the fact that you want to do what you want to do, because you've got a team and other people in the industry surrounding you, like, oh, like, you might be like, oh, maybe their idea is better. They've been doing this for longer. Or maybe I should listen to this person because they have this credit or whatever it may be. And then to just stick to your own gut and be like, no, this is going to be what I want it to be. Yeah. Regardless of what anyone else says. Like that takes a lot of courage.
That took a lot of time to build, but thankfully I finally got to that point. Also, I'm just realizing that my phone is on 2%. So let me grab this here charger.
No worries. I only have a couple more questions for you, but I'm just 2% might cut us off, but
there we go. Okay, now I'm good. But yeah, it took some time to get there, but I finally made it, and I'm proud of the body of work I have.
Yeah, it's an amazing album. And so are you already like working on 2?
Oh yeah, it's like basically I think things have to be kind of like mixed and mastered, and then I have to do the more music videos and photo shoots, but I already have ideas for all those things. So now it's just kind of putting those things into like getting everything like finalized and glossed over. And
wow. Yeah, so you're already on to the next. Are you doing a tour or anything to support the album, or playing around Nashville at least?
Definitely playing around Nashville, and I have some different things I'm booked for, but right now I am looking to get on a tour. So that's in the works. That's in the process to see who the best fit would be.
Okay.
Whether it's in country or outside of country.
Oh, okay. Well, like now, like are you playing around Nashville anytime soon? I'd love to go check you out.
I'm actually gonna do Whiskey Jam for the first time next week. So that'll be fun. Because I haven't done it yet. So that will be great. I'm also doing a show in like New York, Chicago, and then LA next month. But yeah, those are the ones that at least like come to the forefront of my mind at the moment.
Yeah. Love it. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for doing this, Reyna.
No, for sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I have one more question. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
I would say that my advice is, number one, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it or you're not capable of being a superstar or a star. Because a lot of people, I feel like, have their own limitations and they try to put it on other people. And then also, I would say that you know who you are. And yes, it's great to listen to other people's advice, but if you feel like it's going against what you truly believe in your vision, then don't listen to it and do what you feel like is best. And also, if you don't have any connections in the music industry, do your research, do your homework, and try to meet as many producers and writers as possible. Send them DMs and send them emails. Find their information and contact them. That's what I did, since I didn't know anybody in the industry. And definitely social media, not only social media, but like actually work on your crafts. Because I feel like we're getting we're in a time where I feel like everybody is like they're like consistently like posting and like focusing on socials, which is really important, but also focus on like your craft and like the actual artistry, and try to do something that is gonna keep you in the industry forever and not just for a moment. Bringing it backward.